Hello everyone, I'm Jeebs and I wanted to bring you my perspective on the upcoming Supra. Unfortunately, 15,000 subscribers was not enough for Toyota to bring me to West Virginia to be able to test the Supra, so I'm just going to have to bring you a different perspective that I think you will appreciate. The perspective I'm bringing is from a buyer's perspective. A lot of these reviewers like Doug DeMuro and Rob Dahm and Engineering Explained, they're not buying the Supra. They have a huge following, so they're going to be able to get their opinions out there to millions and millions of people. I personally plan on buying the 2020 Supra, but there's a huge issue with that. Issue one. There are 1,500 dealerships in the United States, 1,500 Toyota dealerships. There's also 1,500 launch editions. Personally, I think they are going to send one Supra to each dealership. Most likely, they are going to send two to larger dealerships in bigger metropolitan areas where they can probably get a premium for the car. I think if Toyota is being realistic, they should send one to each dealership. Now, you're thinking, okay, well, you get one Supra at each dealership, that gives everyone a fair shot to buy it. Wrong, because Toyota employees really get the first dibs at buying the new Supra. When I was at the Toyota dealership, I walked in and I said, I just can't get a straight answer on when the Supra's coming out, how many are they going to build, can I place an order, you're going to sell it over MSRP, all these questions. And the guy at the Toyota dealership said, we get this question all the time and there is no straight answer. Apparently Toyota has not communicated anything to the dealers, so and that's according to this one person. So that could be wrong, but this guy was a straight shooter. I mean, he wasn't a jerk, he wasn't sleazy or anything like that. He just told me he's like, I don't know anything, but he also didn't even know the price of the car, which that is listed on the site. They start at like $49,995. But the reality is that Toyota employees want to buy the Supra. You imagine how many people Toyota employs and how many people can afford that work for Toyota. You're at a huge disadvantage as an outside customer. So the other thing is, like I said, they're building 1,500 of the launch editions. So launch edition, you'll recognize with the different colored mirror caps. And I think the wheels actually are all black on launch editions as well. I'm still getting used to all the differences between the different levels of the new Supra. But Toyota employees want it, so we're gonna have to come after them. So let's say that knocks out half. That knocks out 750 of the Supras for the launch year for the 2020 version. The other issue that the sales guy told me is he was like, you know, the Barrett-Jackson Supra went for $2.1 million, which I thought was a terrible thing to even bring up because there was that was for going for charity. That's a one of one. Like, there's so many unique things about that car. You can't really compare it to how this one's going to go once it hits dealership lots. So the point that he said was he expects the Supra, the launch edition, to go for $50,000 over MSRP. I almost laughed when he said that, but I was like, you know what, I really don't know. But I can't imagine the Supra going for $50,000 over MSRP because it's not a $100,000 car. And the main reason it isn't is because it has 335 horsepower. And it's not going to be a limited run of 1,500 cars. They're going to build tens of thousands of these over the years. So it's just the initial hype is so big, and the legend of the Supra, as Doug DeMuro said, has just continued to build since 1998 when the last time was that they produced it in the United States. So $50K over MSRP, there's no way I'm paying anything over MSRP. I mean, maybe, personally, my favorite color scheme is the yellow on the Supra. I'm a fan of yellow cars. I think it looks great with the black accents. So I think that looks amazing. So maybe I would pay a couple thousand over MSRP to get one of the first yellow ones out on the road. It'd be great for video content. I know I would appreciate the car. Just little things like millimeter precision on the throttle response. is incredible. I mean, the engineering behind this car, we'll talk about, a little later in the video, I'll get into like the hate the Supra's been getting, why I feel it's unjustified, but that's what I would really like. So maybe $1,000, $2,000 over MSRP. And the sales guy that I spoke to at Toyota said, he's like, he doesn't even know. I'm like, are you going to charge over MSRP? Because there's not a chance that I pay that. I mean, I'll pay what the sticker says, but I'm not paying anything over that. He's like, I really don't know. He just didn't know. There's not a lot of answers out there, surprisingly, at the Toyota dealerships. So that's the reality right now of buying the Supra. There's not a ton of answers. The one edge that I do have is I have a friend in Pennsylvania who owns a Toyota, Lexus, BMW dealership. So I have a connection, and it's not like he works there. He owns the whole thing. So he will have something for me. If I asked him, he'll give me a straight answer on, I'm just going to ask, are you getting a launch edition and will you sell it to me at MSRP? If he says yes, that's what I'm doing. Because I really want to get a launch edition. I think it's beautiful. I think it's going to age well. It's special. It has a car that has a number plate. I've always told myself the next car that I buy, I want it to be a special edition. So this would fit that, having a number plate. To an enthusiast, that's just a really cool thing to have. That's worth a lot to me. So if he says that he will sell it to me as MSRP and he's getting one, that's what I'm doing. So you can expect to see that on this channel. Now, if you haven't seen Doug DeMuro's video, I highly suggest you watch it. You guys obviously know who Doug DeMuro is. Him and I have about the same sub count. I'm creeping up on 1 million. He's at 2.1. But Doug's very unbiased. He brings you, he said he pays for his own flights, so the manufacturers can't swoon him or anything like that, so it's kind of funny. But he says it's a great driver's car, and that's consistently what people have been saying, is it is a great driver's car. But it's also weird how much Toyota has thought about the aftermarket and not done anything about it. Personally, I really like what Doug said is this is just the beginning of the Supra. There's going to be the TRD versions. There could be, when they revamp the model in 3 years and do some different features, there could be a huge TRD line of upgrades where they could make thousands, or not thousands, but they could make millions and millions of dollars on their aftermarket parts, kind of like what's offered for the GT86 and the BRZ with exhaust, suspension, all that type of stuff. The other side of that is we've been begging for years and years for the BRZ and the GT86 to have more power, but here we are. We're at 205 horsepower. I think we started at 200 or 197, and they haven't done anything. They've just continued to improve the brakes and the chassis and the handling, not the power. So if you look at it from that perspective, this could be it. 335 horsepower, I think 369 foot-pounds of torque. This could be it. Just the way that they've left areas for struts to be added on to the engine. They've added slits. They have slits in the car where you can create more brake cooling, create downforce, more engine cooling for the intercoolers as you need more air when you have more power. So they have all these slots that they've left for the aftermarket. I just don't understand, like Doug said, why didn't they just do it themselves? The reason I think they didn't do it themselves, and what I think a lot of people don't factor in, is when you do one thing, you add this much power, you need to add this much brake, and this much suspension, and this much... There's all these things that you need to add, and that increased cost. And what the CEO of Toyota said, he said Toyota buyers will be happy with the price of this car. I'm not a Toyota buyer, but I am happy with the starting price of this car at $50,000. I think that's very fair. And I like the power up. I like all that stuff. And 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds, that's insane for that type of power. So I'm really excited to see this in person. I really want to see it in person before I do anything. There's just a couple angles. It looks like it's almost it's like a bubble and not smooth flowing lines. But I'm sure it looks good in person. I just need to make that happen. So it is weird. They've done a lot of weird things with leaving so much for the aftermarket to do. But again, that gives you the ability to be unique and say, this is what I did to my Supra, this is what you did to your Supra. It's going to lead to all kinds of aftermarket tuning and power and crazy builds, and I'm excited to watch all of that unravel on YouTube. So hopefully I can be a part of that in the near future. But that is the reality of buying the new Supra. It's going to be a huge pain, I think, for this whole upcoming year. From the time it launches, 365 days after that, I think it's going to be very hard to get this car unless you work for Toyota or you have a connection. Maybe my connection will work, maybe it won't. I don't know. I just need to see if he's actually getting one. So that is what I wanted to bring you. Again, I've been going, like I'm sure all of you have, going down the line, looking at all the videos on the Toyota Supra. If you're new to the channel, I do videos on my Focus ST. I have over 120 videos on my Focus ST. I do car news like this. I do car reviews. I reviewed the NSX, GTR. I have a whole bunch of cars I reviewed. BRZ, GTI, whatever, Call Far. But that's what I generally do on this channel. Another thing that I just thought about is I'm really happy with the price point of this car because it doesn't price most enthusiasts out of it. One area where I think the GTR and NSX are missing is they're $100,000+ cars. They're amazing cars, but the original cars were not priced that high. So it's nice that the Supra is kind of not for the common man. I mean, a $50,000 car is not cheap, but it's kind of part of the Japanese holy trinity. And the fact that it's the cheapest and has the power and has the efficiency and the luxury of BMW, but the heart and soul of Toyota is a lie because it has a heart and soul of a BMW. But Toyota, I don't know, there's a lot of lineage. I like they left the Supra font on the door sills and in the rear. I might even get a little tramp stamp Supra tattoo like this car has. I don't know. If we can get to 100,000 subs in 15 days, I will get a Supra tramp stamp on my lower back. I promise. But yeah, let's get away from that. I'm mumbling at this point. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any questions on the Supra, let me know. If you have any questions on the Focus ST, I'd be a lot better at answering those. If you're new to the channel, you want to subscribe to see if I end up getting the Supra, feel free to do so. The other car that I'm interested in, and really that I still like more, is the BMW M2. Not the competition. I'd like a 2018 with a manual transmission. I love manual transmissions. I just think if you're going to get a secondary specialty car, for me personally, I'd like to row my own gears and make the decisions as opposed to having the car shift for me. But I've driven a lot of DSGs and ZF transmissions, which this has. I reviewed a Aston Martin with the ZF transmission, and it's impressive. It was an older Aston too, and it's still quick shifting. So they can be great. I just like shifting my own gears. I'm kind of a purist in that sense. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like if you're still with me, and we'll see you next time.